Donkey Dan.
Doggy Dan.
And let us know where you're watching from and let us know if you can hear us. Sorry we're a little late. I was having some technical difficulties getting this to face the right direction. So today is day 23 of our 50-day Go Live challenge. And I got to say, thanks, guys. Yesterday was like the best one ever. We had so many questions on there, which is exactly what I just love. Now, today, we're going to we're going to be talking about lost in translation. Learning to communicate with our donkeys can be so much of a big obstacle. So, I am going to talk about my earbuds with that. Dan is going to talk about being married to me because, 30 years, he's learned a thing or two. And then we're going to answer questions that we had people message us with, and we'll take
Yes.
your questions as
Yeah.
well. So make sure you're putting your questions in the comments. So for my earbuds, guys, let me do one more thing here. For my earbuds, I got these really cool earbuds when I got my last cell phone. And here's the funny thing. There's probably a lot of people out there that totally know how to use these. And I could read the directions, but it's been kind of a neat experiment because trying to tell our donkey what we're meaning, what we're asking for them to do, is kind of like me trying to learn to use these earbuds. So
Yeah.
our daughter Hannah, she's 27, she tells me that, Mom, you can press it and turn it on and off or pause or answer the phone with them. I still can't figure out how to do that. Like sometimes after a year of having them, guys, sometimes I will like kind of just press it into my ear more and it'll turn off or on. And then when I try to get it to turn off and on, it doesn't do it correctly. And I don't think it's a malfunction, just a my malfunction, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And the same thing when you think about when you're asking your donkeys to come eat hay from your hand or clear the front or roll the hinds or accept a halter for the first time. They're like, what? What do you want me to do? I don't get it. So we have to do such a good job at letting them know that they found the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because like my earbuds, I've done it correctly sometimes, but not on a regular basis. So we have to be consistent. They don't need a ton of repetition, but because our cues aren't always very timely.
Or direct.
Yeah.
Here's another. You talked about the earbuds. I'm gonna whip up an analogy here. I'm the analogy guy. Let's just say you're out in your yard and you're coiling up hose, and there's a lot of hose. It's like 5 different lengths of hose, and someone important to you is out in the yard, standing around, watching you coil up the hose, and you make the indirect comment. In your mind, you want them to help you pick up the hose, but you say, "Yeah, this is a lot of garden hose to wrap up," and you're wrapping up hose, and the other person might be your spouse, your kid, whoever it is just going to look at you like a donkey. You have to literally say, "Will you help me pick up the hose?" You have to be very clear with your question. Don't assume that they're going to pick up on your innuendo. Just be very direct.
And like the person that you're with, they might be 100% willing and happy to be helping,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe they don't see what you need.
Yeah, you just have to make it very, very clear. Make the question very, very clear. Don't assume they can read your body language or your innuendo or however you speak to them.
Now, like with that being said, when you're asking your donkeys questions for the first times, especially if you have a new wild. Now, I walked down there today. Guys, I went on a ride today with Hannah and her friends, which was great. Wild Donkey Ah got to go on her third trail ride ever. And then afterwards came in and warmed up, and I walked down to the barn to start working with the new wilds. I wasn't even close to going into the gate yet, and they started running, and one of them fell down, and it's slippery right now because it just snowed out. There's a lot of snow out. So that tells me when I walk in there that they're already on like high alert, I'm gonna die, or somebody's gonna eat
Full blown
me.
flight mode, you bet.
So even though they're a donkey and donkeys don't run, right? They still could run, especially when they're new wild.
Well, yeah, they don't know if they're gonna have to fight or hide or what. They don't know what's going on, so they're very rammy. Yeah.
So we need to ask our questions that are appropriate for where they're at. We need to meet them with where they're at. So when I went in there to start moving them, you know, because I have the type A personality, I want to get each one into their own individual pen to work on it, which we did eventually do that. But when one offers to be in a different pen, I just stood there and I kept it there, wanting it to not try to ram through a fence.
Right.
And then I'm like, Dan, come quick. And he shut the gates for me. And then we moved the rest. I got them at rest moved. And then after we would work with two, we would just rotate them around. Now, asking them to move into another pen, that's a big question for these new wilds.
It was a real big question. I mean, there was some, after they got moved, there was blowing and lip chewing and some diarrhea. I mean, it was stressful. Something that simple is very stressful for them at this point in time.
And later on, when they know better what to expect from us, that won't be stressful.
Nope. They'll actually feel good about it. I did what I was supposed to do, and nobody's upset with me.
Now, paying them later on, I'm going to use like oats, like steamed or rolled oats. However, right now, the pay is walking away. So when I was in the pen, my question right now is, would you look at me? I like to use food, but they weren't hungry. They still had hay left over. So we weren't going to be able to use food as a motivation. So then he looked at me, I would turn and walk away to the other side of the pen. And when I make it really, really obvious that they found the right answer, that's communication. Turning and walking away says, good job, you found the right answer, I'm going to leave you alone. But as soon as they look away, that would be his cue to look away. I'm going to make noise, and when he looks, I'm going to turn and walk away. So today I felt like I was playing a banjo. Every time
You looked like it.
every time the donkey looked away, because if I moved, it was going to be too much. And I didn't want to cause them to react. I wanted to cause them to look at me. So normally I would take a step towards them or walk and just try to get ahead of them to get them to give me their eyes. Today I was kind of making noise with my jacket, and that worked. I was getting some really good ones looking at me.
You were. You definitely were.
One of them sniffed my hand twice or 3 times.
Yep.
That was cool.
Yeah, we got that on video. I think, was that the first hand sniffing?
Yeah, with the exception of the horse trailer.
Okay. And then, see, it started with camera sniffing, because I'm videoing through the fence, and MaryJo wanted me to video this really adorable little Jenny donkey sniffing her hand.
Because she had sniffed my hand twice already, and then I gave Dan my phone.
And I'm leaning against the fence. I got the camera going, and this donkey's like, "Oh wow, a camera, my favorite thing!" And it came right on around and went up. So we got video of like its nostrils sniffing the phone, and then it was perfect. Went back behind MaryJo and sneaked up on her and gave her a good hand sniffing.
Now I'm pretty certain she's one when I wasn't even close to being in the pen yet, ran and fell down. So even though they get nervous, when they feel like they're finding the right answer, they're going to get more brave.
Is that the same donkey when you brought the bucket in there that ran into the panel?
Yes. Yes.
Because it was a bucket. Maybe it's never seen a bucket before.
Or it was because I bent over, because one of them, even when I was just latching the gate, ran into a fence. So right now, it takes no effort to get them to run. So we have to be super careful, super calm, hold your breath almost when they're smelling you.
Mm-hmm.
You asked if I would look at the camera when you were recording and she was smelling. I'm like, no, I can't move, because if I move, she's going to think that she's got the wrong answer.
Literally, the donkey sneak up MaryJo to sniff her hand. MaryJo just froze watching the donkey. And I'm like, turn, smile at the camera. And really, had she turned her head, it would have been...
It would have caused the donkey alarm, which would have said, oh, that was too dangerous. Don't do that again.
Right. It would set you back.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now make sure you guys are putting your questions in the comments, because we're going to do questions also. Now, I do have quite a few questions that were sent in. So let's start on these. So Christina said, can you explain clearing the front? So clearing the front is something that we're doing once we are teaching them to lead. It's like the first or maybe second step, because the first step would be just getting them to lean or look or take a step, right? And then going in a circle both directions. So clearing the front, I want their front foot eventually to go like this. So they get back, they kind of lean back on their back legs, and then they could turn their body in 180 degrees. That's clearing the front.
Yep.
Now, when I first start teaching it, I'm rewarding them because they lifted their foot this much. I'll reward them walking backwards. I want them to be thinking of trying to find the answer. But what we're teaching them is to follow a loose lead rope because we want our donkeys to go wherever we point. We want a 2-year-old to be able to lead them.
And clearing those fronts, I can't say enough. Because I'm not very technical with methodology. I'm more the oochie-goochie, touchy-feely guy. And there'll be a donkey that is not leading well. It's like, well, we don't do tug-of-wars, wrestling matches. And I will suggest to MaryJo, hey, can you do clearing the fronts with Rosa or whichever donkey it is? And after a session or two of clearing those fronts and seeking that loose lead rope, the quality of leading goes through the roof. I mean, it may seem counterproductive when you're doing it. You may feel like all thumbs, but when you get them to clear the fronts, the next time you work on leading, you're going to see a major, major improvement.
And remember the communication part. That's what this whole thing is about, right? So we're saying, will you follow? So we're offering them a good deal. We put our hand out. We're pointing where we want them to go, kind of putting our hand where we want their foot to go. So we put our hand out and said, will you take me up on the good deal? And they're like, I don't know what your language is. So then you have a flag and you come up on the other side. So if I wanted Dan to go this direction, I would point the lead rope here and say, hey, will you take a step over here? And he's like, I don't know that
why
language.
are you pointing that way?
So then I'm going to take my flag up. And my flag, the purpose of it is to say, come with me.
Right.
Okay.
And do you do that gently or do you do it aggressively?
I wouldn't say aggressive, but you want it to kind of shock them into moving. And the reason is, I don't want to say, please move, pudding, please go, please go, please go, because a donkey will discount you so fast.
Right.
So, and with a wild though, I'm not going to be aggressive because they might try to go over the fence if they're too nervous.
Right.
So I might walk forward and I'm really going to reward that slightest try.
Right.
But if we can get them to move when we ask, it's going to be clear communication. So you got to find the fine line for the animal you're working with. With Honk, when I taught her this, I had to get a kind of aggressive, like not aggressive, but I had to firm up. Like her head went way up, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know that I'm going to listen to you." And now she does it well, and she can always be using more brush ups on that.
Right. And she's a cold-blooded domestic, so she's not real spooky. So it's more like she had to drop. It's like a teacher dropping a school book on the desk. Slam. No, we're actually going to go this way.
I like that analogy.
And then she would be like, "Oh, okay." And for me, 'cause Honk is my parade princess. That's who I ride. When she did clearing the fronts with Honk, I could the leading went unmeasurably better.
She pulled away from you before I had started doing
Absolutely, yeah. So, and like again, I'm not real technical. MaryJo is, and she's got this recipe that she's copied from Ty on clearing the fronts. And you may feel like all thumbs and what's the point and why am I doing this? Believe us, get them to clear the fronts well, and you're going to have a donkey that's going to lead much, much better.
Before we started this, like with the first wilds that we brought home, we still did the pressure and the release. And, then we would have to use a flag or somebody behind to try to encourage. And then if they're too afraid, that's still not going to work. Doing this here is what we need. You need more than just this. But if you could only teach your donkey one thing, teach them this. Okay? Now, the next question. I've had my donkey for 2 months and not a lot of improvement. What am I doing wrong? This question is from Sam. Making it really, really clear that they found the right answer and break things down into baby steps. When I say baby steps, think of a baby learning to walk. So before they learn how to walk, how many steps do they need to do? First, they need to learn how to hold up their head. And then they need to learn how to roll over. And then they need to build a rock like they're going to crawl, but they're not crawling yet. And then they learn to crawl. And then they learn to stand to hang up on furniture. And then they learn to take steps while they're hanging onto furniture. And then they learn to walk. So
that's a lot of steps, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when they finally take their first attempt at walking, they fall down several times, but they keep trying.
So most of us don't think about breaking it down in such small steps like holding up their head. Like, wait, what? I want my kid to learn how to walk. Why are you talking about holding up their head?
Right.
But if you're breaking things down into little baby steps, that is really where you're starting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
So break things down into baby steps. That way your donkey can feel good about what they have learned. You can feel good about what you've taught them. And then you can be building off from it. Because we always need to be just like a ladder. We need to be taking one step at a time. Now, you guys know that we have memberships. Some of the memberships has like extra videos and like really short videos that you can watch and then, go practice that with your donkey. And then there's also coaching. So that's where you're sending me videos of what you're doing, and then I'm going to help you read your donkey's body language. I'll send you videos of what to do, and we'll have phone conversations each week or bi-monthly, depending on how often you want to have coaching. So break things down into little steps, and that's really going to help a ton.
Yes. And just to expand on what you just said, when we get a video of you interacting with your donkey, accomplishing or not accomplishing what you want to accomplish, it really, really helps us help you with suggestions and tips and get you in the right direction. So yeah, do what you got to do to be able to send us some video.
Yeah.
And we would love to help you.
I have one coaching student that her donkey was like attacking her.
Yeah.
And then when I was watching the video, it wasn't it was dangerous, guys, don't get me wrong, but it was trying to play with her. No, that's not acceptable. We cannot play the same way. Somebody could die. That's dangerous, right?
When they play with each other, they play rough.
They do play rough. So understanding how to read their body language. And then the other part of that, when you're really struggling to get good progress, is giving them a long enough break to digest what they learned. That there, if you don't give them a break to digest, you will not make any progress.
Right.
Or it'll be so slow, it'll feel like molasses. The next one is, my donkey won't let me stand near their sides. What can I do? Ooh, this is probably your specialty because he's the Oochie Goochie man.
Yeah, for that question there, it's a process. You're not going to be able to just go through that U-turn immediately and get to their side. Put some reward in there. But if your donkey takes oats or treats, advance and retreat. That is, go ahead and try to get alongside them and do that U-turn. Walk towards that donkey off to the side 10 feet, and then make a U-turn and then come alongside that donkey's withers, facing the same direction, further than you can reach from that donkey. Come right alongside. Make sure you're maybe 5 or 6 feet from that donkey. When you do your U-turn, maybe be 10 feet away, come around, and now you're 5 or 6 feet away, facing the same direction. Work on that. And if 5 feet is too close, try 7 feet or 9 feet. And eventually get it to where you can be within an arm's length of that donkey and have something to reward them when you can finally get within the arm's reach.
Now, remember, you're going to have to reward them 1,000 times before you get into arm's reach. This is what I had to do with Rosa.
Right. And what would that reward look like when they're not taking...
Leave them alone.
Yep.
Walk away. Get out of the pen. Get out of the pen.
Yep. If Sugar Plum won't let you get closer than 7 feet to those withers, well, at 7.5 feet, give them a break.
And then when you're giving them a break, be watching for them to lick and chew, put their head down lower. Do they have diarrhea? If they have diarrhea, they were pretty darn stressed.
Yep.
No, that's okay. Just be aware of it.
Yep.
Now, somebody just commented they don't have a horse or a donkey. I don't have an equine. I live in California. I just like to watch about donkeys and horses. We're happy that you're here with us.
Oh, we're
Absolutely
glad you're
awesome.
here, guys.
All right, now the next question is, this is the one I texted because I printed these out and I can't read it, so you'll have to get your phone for this one. The next one is, I have issues with mine when I bring out a brush. She auto turns her butt to me and I'm not a fan of that. I know she wants it brushed, but she isn't. No, I texted you it. She's, I'm not a fan of that. I know she wants to be brushed. It just isn't worthy of that, and it makes me move quick and makes her jump also. Okay, so I have a question. Is she kicky? I'm not saying this is okay, but I can definitely say, like Squirrel, who was kicky when he wanted his butt scratched, at first it made me pretty nervous because he would kick out. That was his go-to response when he felt stress. I guess I would handle this a couple different ways. We have a lot that really love to have their butt scratched, but I want to come to them. I don't want them to come to me for it.
Right.
So if they do it, I would not back away from them if you can not back away without getting hurt, because whoever moves their feet is the bottom of the pecking order. So I would try to get them to move away from you. And then after they move away from you, reward them by brushing their butt. I think that's what I would do. Now, my advice would be different if it's a kicky donkey.
Yeah.
But she says in here, she's not trustworthy for that. So maybe that is a kicky donkey. So like Squirrel, being that he was kicky, I think I would just turn and walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. We would deny his request to have his butt scratched. Yeah.
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 And the reason I would turn and walk away instead of shooing them is because I'm probably getting myself into a kicking spot.
Right. Right. And they're not in trouble for asking you to scratch their butt. You just kind of want to like disregard the question. Like,
I'm not playing your game.
yeah, we're just that just ignore it. He's asking you a question. Will you scratch my butt? Just don't even dignify it with an answer. Just walk away. And hopefully that desire to have their butt scratched goes away.
It won't.
Because I am guilty. Your Honor, guilty as charged. When we first started bringing home wilds, I'd be like, oh, wow, look, she loves to have her butt scratched. And then later on, MaryJo was not very happy because we had donkeys following us around backwards to get their butt scratched. So
We had one back their head over top of the farrier. It was a wild donkey. Backed her head where she could have pooped right on the farrier while he was trimming somebody else.
yeah, she got so obsessed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I am going to ignore their request, and then I'm going to come into their space to meet their request. Always keep safety in mind for kicking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what other.
You know, and just before we move on from butt scratching, the butt scratching should be just a random act of kindness from you. Don't ever do it when they're asking you to do it.
I know what else. Butt scratching is actually an important part, and playing with their tail, because later on, if you're going to be putting a saddle, they're going to need a bridge in.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ever need their temperature to be taken, it's rectal, guys. So we need to be able to be playing with their tail so they're not nervous. You'll know that they're nervous about their tail getting played with because they'll clamp it down to them instead
Yeah.
of letting it be relaxed.
Yep.
When they're comfortable, they'll actually move it so you can get the scratching done where they want. Yep. All right. So here's another one from Maya. My mammoth is a remodel. She was 8 when I got her, and I have had 3 years. She's the only one that can touch her or walk up to her. She runs from everyone else. Trust is a big issue with her. It's been a long road with her. My other wild donkey, Dolly, is different. She was easy and fast in learning, but wasn't a remodel. Remodels take so much time.
Yeah, what would you rather do? A gentle wild one or do a remodel?
Gentle and wild.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're must you separate 2 bonded donkeys when trying to work with them, train them? I do. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get a lot more done.
Now,
Yeah.
when you first separate them, the question might be, can you just be in this pen without freaking out?
Right.
Or it can be tying. If they tie one up where you can and work with the other one right next to it. Because
Yep.
once they get confidence in you and the process and what they're being asked to do, that will go away where they are comfortable. When Seamus came to us, he was bonded up with a mule. But I can tell you what, that bond was not mutual. The mule loved Seamus, but Seamus didn't love the mule.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you're working with a remodel, be ready to have everything take a long time. And if you are consistent and you really show them a clear release, they're going to come around, but it's going to take the time that it takes. There's no way to know.
And with the stranger dangers, that's what we call it. When you can work with your animal just fine, and as soon as the neighbor stops by, all bets are off. Just repeated exposure to strangers. Whoever you got access to, get them around that donkey that only lets you do everything, but won't let anybody else. just get them the give them a courtesy of a lot of familiarity with the person, um, with other people. And
Hmm.
that's something. Whenever we have visitors over here, it's like, hey, would you do me a favor? Will you put a halter on this donkey? Just to get some exposure, just to prevent those stranger dangers down the road.
And it might not be haltering. Haltering might be too big of a question. We were working,
Yeah,
Hannah
well,
was
yeah,
over, and I think it was near last Christmas. So it was high winds, and Wild Donkey Joe, who was Cisco on the channel, um, I could halter him and do things with him. But if there was anything happening on the 20 acres, all bets were off.
yeah.
So this day, we're going to go down there and work with the Wilds. And Hannah was working with Joe. She was going to halter him for the stranger danger. And, she couldn't. And then he kept pulling away. And then it actually became harder to get his halter on. Ask a question. We shouldn't have asked that he could be haltered because it was high winds and he was nervous.
Yep. That should have been kind of stand next to you, or a smaller question than a halter. Absolutely.
Are you comfortable eating oats from my hand? Like, that seems dumb, right? But it's
It's
not.
not, yeah, and it's necessary for many donkeys. I mean, yeah, there's always a gift donkey out there that takes anything you throw at it, but that's not the norm.
So, just like a baby learning to walk, break the stranger danger up into small little things. Make sure they get a good release and good break so they understand that they found the right answer.
Yeah, yep.
And then it'll happen. Seamus used to be nervous about everybody, and Seamus isn't nervous about anybody anymore.
Seamus used to be nervous about
A
anything.
remodel. A remodel is an animal who has bad experiences, and then you have to retrain it. Whereas a wild donkey comes to you with absolutely no experiences, and you're starting with a fresh slate.
Yeah, it's like a wild donkey is like building a house from scratch. You have to take a bare piece of ground, dig a hole, pour a foundation, let the concrete set up, grab the lumber, frame it in, sheet it on in, and everything else. A remodel animal, it can be any equine, it was mishandled, not necessarily abused, just wasn't handled correctly and developed some issues at the hands of humans.
Trust issues,
Yeah,
especially.
trust issues. So that's kind of like buying a house where all the bathrooms are on the top level, and it's a three-story house, and the kitchen's in the basement, and the bedrooms are in the garage. You're gonna have to remodel that house to make it livable. And sometimes undoing what man has done is a lot harder than just starting from scratch.
We had not wild, domestic donkey Atlas here, who was a remodel. So he was in a pasture with another jack and I think cattle, and the other jack attacked him. So he was super wounded, and one of my viewers rescued him and then called me. And we got where he would trust us really well.
Yep.
But the stranger danger was giant with him. And then he kind of seemed like he yo-yo a little bit. Like, if you worked with him really consistent, he would stay pretty
Yep.
remembering people are good. But then if he had time off, or we put him from the wild pen into the dry lot, and now catching him was an obstacle because he was fearful. And we got to where we could catch him in the dry lot, and I could catch him. Could you catch him in the dry lot?
Half the time.
Okay. So because I'm like the main person, right? They're going to trust me first. And then if Dan's the secondary person, they'll trust him later. And then, like, if our daughter's home, Hannah, that's like another person. Like, are you
Yeah.
sure I should trust another person? And then you bring over the farrier or the vet. Oh boy, right? So we have to do little increments.
Yeah. And just a quick real side note on stranger dangers. Maybe you have the most wonderful donkey in the world that does everything you ask, but you're the only one working with it. Go ahead and get some strangers around it. Have your husband, your wife, the kids, the mailman, whoever wants to stop by. Have other people interact with your donkey. So that way in the future, if at some point someone has to interact with your donkey and you're not there, everything's going to go smooth.
And then be ready to work with it. So, like, when I had Hannah trying to halter Wild Donkey Joe, and then afterwards I had to like retrain him to halter because he was kind of starting to learn he could pull to get away. About 3 times is what you get of them doing something before they learn that it works. And that's whether you want to teach them that or not. It's not that
Yep.
3 is a hard, fast rule, but
But you'll notice a tendency after the 3rd time of anything, it sticks with them a little bit more on the 4th time. So it's not an absolute rule, but you'll see a pattern of in 3s is really a big deal.
right, the next question. Maya can't touch her when she eats. All right, so Maya, if you're not able to touch your donkey when they're eating, food is yours. You let them eat. But when I'm gonna touch them, boy, this kind of happens a lot when we first let wilds into the 2-acre. When you go try to approach them, they're like, oh, that seems scary. Okay, I have remodels. The 2 I can't stand by their sides, can't halter, and one of them barely lets me touch them. And they're due for hoof trims. We need help. So I can help you. Whoops, sorry, Dan. If you want to join the memberships, we can go through like the coaching where you can send me videos and I can walk you through it, right?
Yeah. We need to be able to watch you and your donkey together, because human interaction, there's a lot of moving parts there. Being able to watch how you're interacting will help us better help you.
Another thing that you could try to do is Dormagel and then have the farrier out when you've given it Dormagel.
That's when it has to get done. There's no more teaching, learning. If you can get Dormagel in its mouth to calm down a little bit. I don't know if she could get them haltered or not.
No, she can't get them haltered, she said.
So then we would need to get them into a chute, if you can get them into a trailer, to get those feet taken care of. Because oftentimes, if they have really bad feet, that's uncomfortable. You know, be like, just think of if it looks like elf shoes, that curvature in her feet, they're in a lot of pain. There's a lot of distraction there. So you're not working with the real donkey.
When we got Honk, when we brought her home, that's Dan's main ride, we brought her to the vet straight away so she could get sedation because she needed her feet trimmed right away. And then the farrier ended up by not using any sedation. And that worked fine for her.
So anticlimactic. It was wonderful. We brought her to the vet to give her sedatives to trim her feet, and the farrier showed up and she did a pretty good job.
Now we had another one, wild donkey Juliet, who she had a crack, so she needed to get her feet done, and I could pick up her feet, I could halter her, and then we just tied her and let her pull, and then the farrier did it. Did not give her any sedation. I would not do that again because she went so far backwards.
We made a lot of work for ourselves, not knowing what we didn't know.
Yeah. So sedation can be helpful, or even Dormagel is like a light sedation. You have to get it from your vet, so. But otherwise, coaching, we can help you through it and get you there. And so when you're trying to approach your donkey when they're eating and they don't like it, really many little sessions. Just touch them and then walk away.
And if they don't let you touch them, if they'll let you get 5 feet away, great. See if you can go 4.5 feet. And then a different session, try 4 feet. And then try 3.5 feet. You're not going to get it all done in one session. It may be several sessions of getting just a little bit closer.
And if you try to push, you're going to teach them that if they move away from you, that's the answer. So you have to, a fine line, right? You have to walk the fine line.
Yep.
Okay, there's one more question. We've already been on for over 30 minutes, guys.
Was this one from Maya?
Yeah.
This was the donkey you can't. I think you already answered that. This is Maya.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
I put it on here twice, so once I can't read it because it's so little.
Well, it's an important question to us, so we want to make sure it got covered.
Cannot touch it when she eats. Okay, so I think we answered all the questions, guys. Now, if you have more questions, make sure you put them in the comments. Now, I talked about the hand warmers yesterday, guys, and gosh, I used hand warmers today. I put a link for that in the description, and we were talking about ways to keep motivated because it could be hard to stay motivated when it's so cold. It was 10 degrees out today, and I went on a ride, and we worked with all 8 donkeys. These wild rags. When Hannah got me my first one, I kind of thought it was for to be cute. I did not realize how warm they are. I love these. Wear them underneath a hoodie. The first time Hannah wore one over here underneath the hoodie, I'm like, oh, you just wear it with everyday life? Yes. And they keep you so warm. So there's a link to that as well.
Yep.
All right. So thanks so much for hanging out with us again today, guys. Day 23 of our 50-day Go Live challenge. And we really appreciate all your awesome questions. Remember, if you want to grab wild rings or hand warmers, check out the link in the description. And then if you're ready to take your donkey training to the next level and you're ready for coaching, sign up. I also want to thank all of our new members. We have a whole slew of new members. Miss Sega, Sam, Tracy, Brandy, a CCB 508. They don't have a name on theirs. Beckfar and a Kamato and Miss Hayes. So thank you guys all for our new members. And you guys have an amazing day. We'll see you again tomorrow.
And send us questions. We love them.
Yes. Thanks.
Have a good night.
Bye.